share my screen, and I'm going to get it so that we can see it. Here we go. I just want to be sure I can see people if they're trying to come in. Okay, so let me open this up. Does everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let me just get this so you can see it all. Okay, so you should.
Professor,
Yes.
could you let me in again? Because I'm opening in my laptop. I'm in my phone right now.
You're on your phone. Okay, yeah. So let me. It should come up. If you come out of this, come out of your phone. Let me see. I have to stop the share. Let's see here. Oh, I see. Here we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me get you back in here. There we go, Alex. Okay. All right. You know, I think I'm going to share the screen. I think I can see people better when I share the screen. Okay, back to sharing. Desktop. There we go. Okay, I can put that away. You can see everything, right? All right, and I can open this up. Okay, good. All right, here we go. So here's an example of, like, this is a template that I want to work with for my nonprofit organization. I have chosen, just to show you, I have chosen, where are we? The Red Cross as my nonprofit organization. So I'm going to do a Red Cross informational video about COVID in New York City. What all the stuff that Red Cross is doing for COVID in New York City. So that's the topic. So now that could be the home page, or that could be what we call an event page. An event page is, so one of the things that's important is to know that a website is the main communication today, as we all are living and experiencing under these circumstances. And like they just put this up here, I can see. But I just want to walk you through a little bit about web design so that you understand what web design is and what is expected of you as a designer or somebody who may be hired by a nonprofit organization to do their web pages, right? Very common internship opportunity. I can't tell you how much that is set forward on that. So number one, what always on a web design is definitely the logo. Then these are what we call the menu. Just like in our WordPress, these are actual pages that the designer builds and designs. So you can imagine the work that is needed, which is where I emphasize you only need an associate's degree to get a web design degree, but you have to fully understand web design. So, and then of course, all of these are what we call like a subheading. So in web design, this upper bar here is what we call a header, H-E-A-D-E-R, a header. This is the content, and let me just scroll here. And like they don't have a footer down here. I don't know if you can see it. Down here is what we call a footer. Now, a lot of people have bigger footers. There's your share button. A lot of times the share buttons would be on the top. I don't know why that's not there. That should be there. But, you know, I'm not here to critique Red Cross, but I'm letting you know these are things that are become standard web design formats. Oh, here they are. So this is good. So somewhere. So when we say, which is what we're doing, you're only designing one screen with your nonprofit organizations, one organization, and then what I have here is what we call a second screen, scrolling. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm only asking you to do this page and then take this page and crop it down to a mobile phone. Obviously, you move things around, you scale things, and you get into a mobile phone. And I will show you the sizes for all of this. So the important thing is, like on this page, the video that I am making, that I'm going to walk you through, would actually go right here. Because if I play this, now this is Vimeo. Now, I'm not a big fan of Vimeo. Yes, it looks really nice, you know, better than YouTube, but it does not have a better playback. YouTube server is Google. It's a killer server. It plays everything really well. Vimeo is a little downtime, a little, you know, bandwidth problems, but that's okay. They've chosen Vimeo for whatever reason, right? Maybe they're a big donor. But the point to be made is that your video can go on the web page, but it does not necessarily have to go on the web page. That's your decision, okay? So, you know, I leave little open of creativity about what you want to do. The video would normally be a link, maybe on another page, maybe down on one of these scroll pages, whatever it may be. Maybe in donate, maybe I'm doing a video to donate, like this is a pretty bad design page. So the point to be made is that the video is always what everybody makes today, everyone. Commercials go to YouTube, everything goes to YouTube. So no matter what you're doing today, you always need a video like a web page, like a website, like a blog. So, so they don't really have the word blog. A lot of people have blog as an actual page. So this is a very public service, informational page to get answers as fast as possible. So it's bare bones, gets right to the point, and so forth. So now the mission, I just pick up this mission. That's the mission of the Red Cross. So you can find that, like I found this on the About page. So often the mission page would be on the About. So the things that you need is to be sure that you have the logo, the logo right up here for your video. So let's go back to Photoshop. So you see this is the template page that I have created. And this would be the home page. And so, yes, Elise.
How do you get the template page you pick out onto Photoshop? Because when I tried to download it, I couldn't get it into Photoshop.
Just capture screen.
Oh, we're just do like a snipping tool kind of thing?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
You're using it as a guide? Exactly.
What does that mean?
In other words, Elise asked, how do I get the example of my template into Photoshop? And then I say, capture your screen.
You mean like a screenshot?
Yep.
Okay.
Screenshot, yep. In this day and age, there's like 3 words for the same meaning, right?
Well, unless you can download, I mean, aren't there some websites where you can download the templates? Or is that
if it's a web page, it's like that on that HTML5, it downloads the entire code. It doesn't really give you an image. So screenshot's the best.
Is that for like just this project, or you can do that for any project?
Any project. Anytime you want an image, you can screenshot. But the point to be made that Elise was saying, how do I get my example into Photoshop so I could use it as a guide?
Okay.
So she's using the image as a guide, which is great. And that's why we do sketches, right? We bring the sketches in, we may not use them, we may use them, but we use it as a guide to help us to get started because we've already done the design work in composing, you know, what we see. So this would be my guide. And I think there's a couple of things here. Yeah, these are all individual elements that are what I would be using as my images. Now, to help you understand how to get started, you know, I don't know if I've ever expressed, I have a terrible memory. So one of the reasons why I love computers is because everything's in front of me, so I don't have to try to remember. So everything has changed over the years, and to remember sizes is very complicated. Mobile sizes, responsive sizes, web page sizes, video sizes, poster sizes, business card sizes. I am not going to store that in my head. So Photoshop knows that, and that's why they do something like this. So when you go File, New, come on, File, New. Here we go. All the sizes are here. So I have photos, gives you the pixel dimension. It gives you prints for posters, 300 DPI, as you can see. This is, PPI is pixel per inch versus dots per inch. We're sort of, print is not as, pixel and dot is pretty much the same. Here is web, right? For large monitors, your pixel dimension. So when I'm starting out designing a web page, there's things I have to think about. Who is the customer? Now, if I was living in Oklahoma and I was doing a website for a public library, I would be sure that the web page was small, built small enough so that people way out in the rural areas who do not have good bandwidth or do not see really well can be able to see the page. So you always have to decide upon who's the target audience. So sites like government, they're always going to build for the disadvantaged, right? By law, you have to build a site for people with disabilities, by law. So that's a whole other learning curve in learning in web design. But so if you're doing a web page for a youth group in New York City, it's going to be fast, it's going to be really well designed, very contemporary, because it's the young people, right? They want to see cutting edge things. So you have to decide upon the look and feel of who this audience is reaching. So for the mobile design, one of the common ones is 1920 by 1080. So you can start that up. Now, the good news about web design versus print, let me see if I have anyone coming in here, no, is that you can, in print, you have to be very careful like we were in the first assignment. Your DPI is critical upon all your assets. So some assets, some photographs don't look like good resolution, bad resolution, good resolution, bad resolution. Everything has to be consistently the same. Now in web, because it's the web, the resolution is really what you see as 100% in Photoshop is what you get. So you can get variants of resolution. You just have to be sure that there's not any clear loss of resolution. And I'll show you that when we get to the timeline. So when you do the mobile size, you'll start a new document and you can drag and drop over the layout from the first one and use these sizes. Now for film, which is what we're going to do next, all you need to use, and this is all the film video sizes for broadcast, for television, feature film, anytime you're delivering a time-based format. So for our purposes, we're going to use a 1280 by 720. That's pretty standard for YouTube, and we can be able to use that. So that's the 1280 by 720 right up here under video. If you go higher, it takes too much memory on your computer. So this one will do the job.
Can you remind me what it was for the web and for the phone?
So for the phone, a good one would be, I would say probably 750 by 1334.
13 what?
1334. 1,334 by 750. So the
Okay.
height is 1,334 and the width is 750. And then for the computer monitor, the 1920 by 1080. Okay.
I have a question. So
Yeah.
when I did the film and video, the
Yes.
width is 720 and then the height is 480.
Let's see, you did 720. You probably did it down here, 720. Yeah, that's an older size. Right here, that's your 720 by 480. That can be fine, but you might be able to get it up and do the canvas, Nikki, and stretch it open to be 1280 by 720 and see how well you can scale your photographs. So this is that 720 by 480 was pretty much about 10 years ago. Now pretty much the standard is 1280 by 720, and then the higher one is the 1920 by 1080. That's very high definition, but takes a lot of memory. So then you can just leave everything the way the default is. So these have their own settings. And so you can just leave them just the way they are. So I created one right now, which is this one. Now the reason why, so Photoshop made this for me. I did not, I didn't put all the guides there, as you can see. So the guides are there for you to know that if your video went to broadcast, to television. Television is still around. Interesting enough, I think because of what we're going through, it's going to stay around a little bit longer because everyone's bandwidth is pretty bad. Cable bandwidth is excellent. I think they're realizing how important it is now. What you don't have, you soon realize how important it is. But the point to be made, the reason why these guides exist is so that if you have important information, you're keeping it within those guidelines. So logos and things like that, you want to be sure they're we call it the safety zone. This zone right here, you can kind of get away from it, but avoid as much as possible having any text in this area right here, right? So it's sort of like a border when you're doing graphic design. So anyway, so now what I'm showing you is the photographs that I have gathered from that website. Now I gathered the logo, I went to Google and I Googled the logo and I Googled the subject matter. And so here are some of my photographs just to let you see. So I'm just thinking about that. These are the images. I wanted to emphasize not so much the front, not so much the first responders. I wanted to really emphasize the wearing masks. So that's my intent, is I'm thinking I want it to be about us, not about the first responders, because I want us to realize, Red Cross wants us as citizens to be responsible and wear masks. And so that's what this video is all going to be about. Now I have over here, just to show you, let me get this bigger. I think I can, wait, let's see, hold on. So now this is a little bit of their mission. Now I can do a voiceover. So there's two things to remember what you can do in Photoshop with video. You can import a video, you can import an animated GIF, you can import music, and you can import a voiceover. So, so this is important to know that these are what we can do in Photoshop. So now I would probably write a little bit more language. Maybe I would read this. Maybe I would cut it down. I would have to edit this to find out what would be the best. So like right now, I like this. Each day, 1,000 people just like you provide compassionate care to those in need. And then I would maybe talk about the mask. You know, maybe I would go to the New York Times and I might find a quote from the New York Times. Now, obviously, when you're taking things that are not, quote, yours, you want to give them credit. Your quote from New York Times, your image, where was the source of the image? There is a link on my blog, I'll show it to you when we're in WordPress, where you drop an image into this application and it tells you the original source. A lot of people, what we call appropriate images, especially in Photoshop, you can find out who is the source of the original owner. And what original owners care about is two things: that you're not doing it in a disruptive, negative way, inappropriate, and number two, you're not making a lot of money off of what their work has given you. So always try to get permission and releases and things like that. We'll talk a little bit more about that on the Creative Commons. I've given you a video to look at. I hope you look at those playlists that I've given you on YouTube. You can learn a lot on YouTube. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. It's important to know what you can do and what you cannot do. So the point to be made is that now what I'm going to do is I'm going to align up, like for instance, this one right here. I don't want CDC. I may have that at the end for, like website. I might give information on here about what website to go to. So I could pick this up like this to make sure I'm on the right layer. I can go like here. You go really close. If you go really close and you come up here to image, edit, content aware fill. What this does is it shows me what it looks like. Am I happy with that? And you can kind of change the variables on this, and I'll say, okay. Oops, there's that time. And now what happens is it gives me the ability to, number one, get this picture. Well, I didn't save it. I should have saved it. Oh, here it is. I can now copy and paste this. Copy. Oh, let me get on the right layer. Copy. I want to be on here. Oh. Well, I can just do Control C. Control C. You see how it's not giving it to me right now? So I'm just going to do it again. So somehow it wigged out because I went into some, the content aware one. Now I can go copy. Where are we? Why is this not working for me? Hold on. Turn this on. Interesting. I'm not seeing why this is not copying for me. So welcome to my world, right? But what I can do is all right, so you see how I can't figure something out? Well, what I know I can do is I can duplicate it. That I can do. I could turn this off. I could go like this. I could inverse it and then hit delete, and now I got my crop. So there's always another way of doing something if the tools are not working for you. I have no idea why this is not working for me. All I can think about is that this is a new version, and I did go into another tool, and somehow something is not working for me on that. But the point to be made is that now I can now bring this up. See, they made a layer out of this. And now I can do these two things and merge them. Remember, make sure all the layers are off, and I can merge visible. And now this is one layer, and I can scale it. Remember, you don't need the shift key and scaling. And I might put this over. And then I was thinking that maybe I will use, where is it? And don't forget to double click or up here with the arrows. I was thinking I had something in mind here. Where did it go? Not there. Oh, here it is. I kind of like this red that is in here. And so what I can do, so you see how I'm designing this page right now. So I could put a layer behind here. Take the color, remember your eyedropper. Eyedropper picks up the color that exists. And then I can go like this. Come up here to fill. Not pattern, foreground. Say okay. Get this to be in here. And come back to this. Double click to say yes. Control D to get rid of. Control T. Bring it up to the edge. Here's the edge right there. This blue line is the edge. And actually now I see this should come down. So what I'd like you to do is to try to get, because of our time right now, got to get this up. Try to get your images. So like I can crop this just to show you. So that
this
is
one piece. This is one part of the video page.
Exactly. This will become a keyframe, Elise. So in other words, all of these
So how many keyframes do we make?
whatever you like. You don't want to go longer than 15 seconds.
Okay.
So here's 15 seconds. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000, 11,000, 12,000. It's long. That's why 30 seconds costs millions of dollars to produce. So if you go back, I'm going to go back to my site here. Please be sure to remember this video here that I showed you. This one, right? Let's count the 1,000 on this. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000, 11,000, 12,000, 13,000, 14,000, 15,000. You see? So 15 seconds goes a long way, and you saw all those images, right? Different text, different words, different photographs.
So
That's really what we're looking for. Emmanuel?
so the video is just a video composed of images with sound in the
Exactly.
background, or
Exactly,
cool.
and text.
Okay,
And
cool.
text. Exactly. So I haven't built my text yet,
Mhm.
but these are the images that I'm looking at to pull together. So it's a video about everybody needs to wear masks. And I don't know if you've been reading the news, we more than likely will be wearing masks for the next year.
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
Is the outline the first or the second blue line?
Good question. The outer, like if I turn this all off, this line is the line that is where you don't want text to go. So I could create my own lines like this, rulers. I could bring this up to help me know what is the cropping of the actual video. You see how I'm doing this?
Yeah, but I'm saying which one is the actual, because before when you had like the Statue of Liberty picture, part
Yeah,
of it is going past the first line. So I'm wondering which one is the actual boundary. Like, see how
yeah, exactly. I didn't stretch it up big enough. So now that I put that guide for me, now I can see it. Now I'm going to bring this up so that fits like that.
so then what's the point of having the other two? I mean, why are...
Oh, so let me explain. So when you broadcast, when you do a feature film or a commercial for broadcast television, this is what we call broadcast safety. So if you have text and information, it must be within this. So you don't want to put text in this area because it could be cut off by each station across the country. So any important information as a video editor or a graphic design, motion graphic designer doing information videos, you don't want your text to be in this area at all because your video could be broadcast and cut off.
So it's the
Okay.
text, but pictures doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter with the pictures. It's
Yeah,
only for information. What was that, Monica?
I guess I'm just not understanding why pictures cut off farther out than text. Like,
Well, when you design, like for instance, if you're designing something, what if I just want this image to be way up here? I want it cut off. But if you have information like call this number, information like call text, you don't want it to be, you don't want it to be in those areas up here. So we call them broadcast safety lines.
and was there a default that you put those in the beginning, or did you put all those in by the ruler?
Photoshop did it.
Oh,
When
I have
you
a
create
question.
when you create the video, I may get cut off. So if I get cut off, we're going to meet at 2:15. I'll send you the invitation. What I'd like you to do is to get all your assets together for the video, and then I'll show you the timeline. Questions?
I
I'm gonna
have
go-
one.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Sorry, Elise. Mine is the old version of Photoshop. I don't have those lines on mine, the guides.
Well, then you can create them, Nikki. You can just
Okay.
call them down from the ruler.
Okay.
It's just getting some kind of a frame. But, web is not as much like broadcast is. Web doesn't really cut things off. Broadcast does cut off, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
I was just having a hard time getting the text and the pictures onto WordPress. So I ended up,
You want to go to export?